Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. We've got these wheel bearings on the rotisserie warming up. It's pretty cold down here in Melbourne, so it's pretty difficult to keep your hands warm working with cars and tools, and it's all kind of steel and cold. Not really nice. So got a patio heater here to keep us warm. And normally this is the bench that, patio heater, normally having a barbie with the boys and having a beer or whatever, a Canadian and dry. And, if you're over beer, like a snowball in the face. But anyway, it's in the workshop and that's where it lives, this one. And what we do is we keep the tools warm, okay? We're keeping the tools warm, not keeping the drinks warm, because you don't want to keep the drinks warm. Think about that, yeah? Patio heater, drinks. Not a good idea. I suppose that's where you put the nuts, isn't it? Anyway, so what we're doing here, these are the Prado front bearings, front wheel bearings, okay? So there's been quite a bit of confusion about what parts you need and what's a hub and what's a bearing and what's what. So we've done some other videos, so like always search our channel, Prado front wheel bearing hub information, whatever. In case you don't know, we do supply these hubs already pressed together, ready to go. I'll give you the information as to why, and I'm going to give you some information in case you decide you want to go down the budget road and do it yourself and use cheap Chinese bearings. Look, we're not fussed whether we sell you these bearings, the bearing hub, or not, okay? So don't take it the wrong way. I appreciate everyone's support, and the service is there for the people that want it. If you don't want it, we're happy to help as well. Please don't ring and ask and text me about things about wheel bearings, because the only thing I can do to help you with that is sell you a pair of it's all genuine parts pressed together, and it's going to be delivered to your door anywhere in Australia. If you're outside Australia or you don't want that, then you just keep watching the videos like this. All the information's there, right? So we've used the Chinese bearings at the bearing shop, said, yeah, oh mate, we sell hundreds or we sell thousands, they've had a problem and all that. Well, we've had problems. Other people have had problems. We sort of said that, just be careful because you could have a problem. And people come back and said, you were right, we had a problem. So look, we don't have a problem with these. As I've said in other videos, there's a few little upgrades we do. Now, these are the actual bearings. They're the genuine Toyota, the Koyos that Toyota use. That's what you want to use, nothing else, in my opinion. Then you need the genuine Toyota seal, okay? There's a number of seals you need. This is one of the seals you need, okay? Then you need, I just want to let you know, this is really time consuming, this job. So it's not just the parts you're getting and the assembly. It's not just a quick press it together in a couple of minutes like people sort of think or say. It's, the parts come from different suppliers, okay? Of course, you can go or buy it all direct from Toyota. From a Toyota deal, it's going to cost you more than it costs buying them delivered to your door already assembled from me, okay? Generally, I'll say generally. Last time I got a quote, there you go, last time I checked. Last time I got a price from a Toyota dealer on how much is it to get these wheel bearings replaced, with them doing the labour and reusing your old hub, was about $1,700 or something like that for the pair, okay? These are about $1,000 for the pair, okay? I mean, pressed together with new hubs, studs, everything, and including the back seal. Now don't get me wrong, there's some good Toyota dealers out there and some good mechanics that work there, but it's a mix, okay? So you just need to be careful. There is a seal at the rear, we'll get to that you should have to replace or have it there in case it's damaged, you need to replace it, or you should just replace it anyway. We supply it with our kits. That seal alone is something like $70 or $80 each, and there's 2 of them in there. So we're going to supply you all 3 seals, all the bolts, the bearing, all genuine, like OEM. Now, there's a number of different bearings they use. So if you buy the Toyota part number, you might find this number, that, there's different bearings. So what we've done from R&D is work out what we believe is the best bearing. Got to tell you, they bolt up the same, they fit up the same. So on a Hilux, we may just use this bearing as well. Even though it's a different bearing, and the seals, even though they're the same, they fit the same. There's different brands, and there's brands we like and there's brands we don't. So we do our best to source and use and cross-examine, cross-mix and match, and sort of put, if we think this seal's better than that seal, we're going to use, say, the Prado one on the Hilux one. Maybe the Hilux was on a budget. So first thing we need to do anyway, just letting you know what's involved here. We've got the bearings out. You need to be putting the seal on the correct side first. You need to get those seals out of the bag. You can see they come pre-lubricated. And you've got to carefully, the first step is you've got to carefully press those on there, and they're a nice tight fit. So you need to be really careful you're not going to damage it. And that's what we do. They're professionally installed. Guess who installs those? I do. Nobody else, I do. So if you buy them from me, I guarantee you they're professionally installed. Now, there's something else we do, I've said in other videos, you don't have to do, but I run a nice, light, as much as I can, neat, as light as I can, but I did a batch recently where I used up an older tube of silicone. It was blue. If you got that, didn't look as good. Look, I sort of went, I wanted to get rid of the blue. It's been sitting there for a couple of years. I don't know why I had blue there. But anyway, the blue certainly didn't look good, okay? But it's just looks, don't worry about that. We're using grey again, and from now on with all the other batches, we all use grey for years, and we're using grey from now on. That's what we got, we got heaps in stock there because it comes with the injector kit, if that's what you want, okay? So we run a bead of that RTV silicone around it, just nicely, like really neat. I've got to be honest, I reckon I do a really good job of it. You can have a look at it. Doesn't matter if it's messy anyway, as long as it does the job. Why do we do that? Again, from our R&D, as I said before in other videos, we've looked and I go, there's not water getting past this seal here to the face of the hub. There's not water getting past around the back, the other side. There's an O-ring on here normally. It's not there at the moment. There's an O-ring that sits there. That is, it's not getting past. It's not getting past that either. So my suspicion is when I look at the internals from ones we've got back and stripped down, some water may get under there. So that's just metal on metal, which seals pretty well. But there's a chance if you're in water a long time or doing a lot of water crossings, because right in down here, that's where your rotor is. All the water, and all the water's going to go bang in through the rotor, through the ventilation, and it sort of lands about there. Anyway, I could be wrong, but I've got a suspicion that some of the water may get under that seal. That's why we do that, okay? So first step is unpacking it, getting everything, right? That's time consuming. Then unpacking and whatever. Then checking all the parts, making sure it's right. None of the bearings have been dropped. There's an ABS sensor in there. It's really important that you've got to be careful where you get these things from. You don't know what's happened to them, you know what I mean? So we get those in bulk direct from a supplier where we get a number at a time, and they come in boxes that I believe they're not going to be damaged, and we do our basic checks to make sure they seem okay. Then, look, the key thing here is I'm going to tell you, in case you decide to do this yourself, once you've got your seal on, and it's 100%, it's got to be, don't hit it down too far, you're going to put it out at whack, damage it. If you bend it out of place, hit the seal or anything, you're going to damage it. If it goes too far, you may stretch it, and then it could pop back off again, right? So they're not hard. If you know what you're doing, it's pretty straightforward. They're a pain to fit. I'll say they're a pain. Easy for me. I've done plenty of them, okay? Get them right every time now. It's beautiful. So they need to go on exactly the right amount, nice and square. The sealant goes on. Next thing you got to do is pop those bolts in the hole, okay? So you need 4 new bolts as well. Again, they're about $4 each. And you drop those through there before you do anything else, because then you're going to get your new hub. We'll get to that. I've already gone on 8 minutes of information so far, so we're going to sit down now and spend about an hour or two popping about 20 of these seals onto 20 bearings. I'll come back to you a bit later on through the stage and show you what we're up to. Hopefully that's been helpful so far. So if you're liking it and you got something out of it, give us a thumbs up, but there's more to come. All right, and for the lucky DIYs that are still with us, this is where I'm going to give you another little bit of information that if you insist on taking the risks of obtaining your own parts, the right parts, and using yours as your prototype, doing it the first time, then this is a way that might work really well for you. And I'm going to show you this because it does work really well, okay? I actually use it. Now there's different tools to install seals and stuff like that. There's 2 tips right here, right now that are going to save you money, okay? These are your dust caps. These are a bit of R&D dust caps. They're your dust caps that came off, right? Don't worry about the condition of them now. We've done a lot of messing around with those now. But the key thing is, as I've said before in the other videos, which you should go and watch as well because maximum information, when you want to remove these dust caps, you've got to be really careful. You've got to get something nice and sharp in between that lip there and the hub, because they are quite a tight seal, which is what you want. They're tight, they don't leak. If you damage it, then it's probably going to leak. It's not going to be genuine Toyota quality like that anymore, if you know what I mean. So if you're not trusting yourself, add another $60 to the job and order yourself some pair of dust caps as well. There'll be nothing wrong with them if they haven't been off before. And you use a nice, sharp, high quality wood chisel, I find to work the best because it's sharp. The fine point gets in there, it's got a nice taper. You can work your way around slowly. That is the way to do it. Now, inside the genuine hubs, they've got like a black coating. It's like a paint type, rubber type thing. We'll get to showing you that. That's why you use genuine hubs as well, right? So this is the deal. All right, now I'm going to get in here. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see, but that fits over that seal bloody beautifully. It's absolutely perfect. Obviously it can move around, so it's up to you to keep it straight, keep it square, and look at, you know, where the seal's at, which side needs a tap. You can't just whack it on. You've got to work your way around slowly. It's time consuming to do it right. Right, so we'll do this one for the video just to show you what's going on. This one was already started. Sometimes they can be hard to get started, sometimes not, you know. So you got to get a lot of fingers around it and make sure you're holding it square, because so then the edge hits. You don't want to be in here. Well, it's not going to be too bad, but if you're not right on the edge, you're not going to have the strength of that fold. You want to be pressing on the upright, and you're going to wreck your cap. So unless you've got a spare cap, so you're going to have to add $60 to the job anyway. That'll cover you if you wreck your old caps, but you can easily not wreck your old caps is what I'm saying. So that's your best bet, you know what I mean? You know, if you buy them, like I said, I'm not too fussed. Of course, we appreciate the business, but I know there's a lot of people out there that can't afford, or, you know, I mean, how many times can you afford to change them? Do you want to change them every 40,000? These generally last 200 to 300,000 Ks or longer. I recommend if you're traveling remote areas, outback type stuff, change them as prevention every 200,000 Ks. I'm going to do mine every 150,000 Ks. There you go. Put your money where your mouth is. So I'm going to bang. I've got to invest the same time. I've still got to pay for the parts. I'm going to put them on the car every 150. Okay. So, of course, unless the vehicle's under warranty or something like that, which doesn't mean it's not going to be inconvenient when they fail. And they can go bad really quickly. So now when you get to where it wants to be, it's hard to show you, but there's like a sort of, look, I'll get it there, because you sort of feel it. You feel it, it's nearly there. You might hear it. I'll stop talking, have a listen. Who heard the sound change? I don't know if you heard that. I can hear it and see it. So basically what you're looking at is, it's hard to explain, because there's like where it's machined in, you're right on the edge of it, but there's kind of a taper there. So it's hard to explain to you. So anyway, I have a look at them, do a visual like that, and then go over there with that fella. And we've got the others over here on the heater, taking the chill off them a little bit. But I hope you can see, this is just getting the parts, unpacking them and installing the seal. We've still got the RTV, the pressing it together, then we've obviously got to pack them back into the boxes and pack them and address them and send them to you. So they are really good value for money. Like I said, they're $1 a pair. If you want to pick them up, you know, it's going to save you some money, of course, if you're around Melbourne, whatever, and you want to come and pick them up. We've usually got them in stock. This is your caution though. We don't always, because I do a video like this and they could go crazy, but not necessarily this week when I'm ready. I might go, oh, and I'm not trying to sell them, I'm just trying to put the information out there. This is what happens, I've noticed, and sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks later and just goes nuts, and we'll sell 5 sets a day, and then we're just out and we're just back ordered and whatever, you know. So, but then we can have 20 sets, 30 sets on the shelf, and they're just moving slowly, you know, 1 or 2 a week sort of thing. So look, we can't control when you guys are going to buy them, so please plan ahead and be patient. It's the best thing you can do. Place your order, be prepared to wait weeks if you need to. That's the way to do it. Don't sort of expect that they're here and ring up and say, hey, you know, can I come today and grab a set? They might be here. It's likely they will be, but not always. So to get it started, it needs to be nice and square to start off with, and then you pick your highest side, of course, which happens to be around here. And that didn't work out too well because it went down. It went down a long way. So we got it back up again though. Now we're around the other side. It still needs to come up a bit more. This is what I mean. It can be quite fiddly. I'm going to try and make it look really hard. No, I'm not. I'm actually, it's the video. The video takes care of it. It's called, I think it's like, is it karma or something? It just happens, and it's just reality. It's how it is. So anyway, let's try this one. Yep, that's pretty good now. So. Don't hit your fingers. You're best off using a big heavy hammer like that. Small hammer, you're gonna lots of tapping, lots of noise, whatever, it's not gonna happen. You need a heavy hammer. I guess this is around about where the other one was when we started. So I can finish it. While you're waiting, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up if you're liking this information, you got something out of it, and we'll keep it coming, mate. You know, it's kind of like saying thanks. If I see the thumbs up, I'm gonna keep doing videos. And you know what? If you want more, share the videos. Share around to your friends, on your groups and pages, on the internet, wherever you are. Share out the information. And the more people that see it, people love it, more people are gonna like it. And that means more videos. Right, so see, it's totally changed the sound and the feel. Another one done. Obviously we just give that a nice little spread around, so we can look at that one again. I don't know if you can see that. Bada bing, I'll put those over there. I don't know what else to show you at the moment. We're just going to do a whole lot of that, and I hope you understand I've got to stop doing that to make a video. So bada bing, we've got to limit how much time we put into videos. We're doing the best we can. More thumbs up, more positive comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you think I've earned your subscription, there's more information coming still, and turn that bell on so you get notified next time that important information turns up. All right guys, thanks for watching. I'll come back to you again shortly. All right guys, so we've got a whole batch of all these seals pressed on. I feel like I've been at it for hours, right? So I'm just showing you kind of what they look like in case you decide you got to do it yourself and try and damage one of these $30 seals. Yep, not cheap, genuine. Made by Koyo for the Koyo bearing. There's other brands available depending, that's what I'm saying, we match up, you know. So anyway guys, there they are. The next step is we're going to get that RTV and we're just going to put a nice thin smear literally just along that edge there to seal that up. We keep it looking pretty neat usually. It doesn't really matter if it's not neat. It's not going to get in the way of anything. And obviously the neater it is, the more time it takes. So then time's money. So look guys, hopefully this has been helpful for you. We'll get that RTV on there and show you a bit more info soon. Alright, so here we are, and don't take notice of the dirty old workbench. This is the dirty old rough workbench where the heavy duty stuff happens, if you know what I mean. And I prefer timber to steel for bearings, you know, tapping seals on and that. Just wanted to show you this sealant. So you win some, you lose some. You know, you can see, you know, quite often it's pretty neat, you know, kind of like, you know, kind of like that there, you know, nice and neat there. And then a little bit I go, and you know what I used to do? Sometimes I used to get a rag and wipe that and, you know, make it all 100% nice and neat, you know. So that one's a bit messy too. You know, that one's a bit messy. Oh, look, they're all a bit messy. Oh, that one's not too bad, you know what I mean? Yeah, not too bad. But what I'm saying is it doesn't matter, okay? So that one's pretty good, you know. I mean, I've got a pretty good finger doing a pretty neat job there, but it's quite time consuming. It's probably a couple of minutes each bearing again. So, you know, there's a good half an hour or so's work just doing these few. And then, of course, as I said, the next thing you need to do after you get that sealant on and let it dry is get all these bolts in like that, because if you haven't got the bolts in the bearing when you press the hub on, you're going to be in a lot of pain and suffering, because we've seen it before in photos on the internet many years ago, where people press the hub together and then they've cut slots out of the the hub face in between the studs to get the bolts in, or cut one slot out kind of thing, and they just turn it. And look, that's probably okay, but that's not why we got the brand new hub. All brand new hubs, nice and true, genuine, straight, studs, bolts, everything. Anyway, so next step after this is we're going to press the hub in, and then we've got the other seal, and which comes with the kit. You need to install that into the back behind the kind of steering knuckle. We've got a video on that. And what else? And there's an O-ring that goes on the back. I'll show you that when we get to it. All right, so we've got a number of them all pressed together now. We do use a small amount of grease on the hub. And I just want to say at this point, who wants a dirty old rusty hub? Okay, so a couple of things to think about. Like I said, dirty, old and rusty. How does dirty and old and rusty work with your nice new seal there? So that's one thing to think about, because that surface is what's going to help protect the bearing inside there and what's going to get past that seal, which from new is nothing. But when you start reusing things, then some people have got some tools and contraptions to split these hubs apart. These faces can get bent in doing so. There's a lot of pressure required. Sometimes these bolts get bent and damaged. So look, personally, the only way we do it now is brand new everything. So once we get to this stage, so we've got the bearing, we've got the seal professionally fitted, the nice bit of RTV is dried now, because it's a process that takes so long. I've got to tell you guys, between doing a few other things, calls, texts, some clients and whatever, no vehicles, I've sort of been on this all day doing these. So the next step is then you've got an O-ring, okay? You've got an O-ring that needs to be fitted. We could just supply you that O-ring, but what we're going to do is we're going to install it to the place it needs to go, okay? That's where the O-ring goes. There's a nice new O-ring, okay? So professionally installed, right, if you like, okay? So just going to get all those O-rings on, and I'm just trying to have a think about what else I can tell you. There is one other seal, as I said, and that will obviously not be fitted because it needs to be fitted to the vehicle. It kind of goes in behind here, but not exactly. So in the box it'll be sitting over here the way we pack it, okay? So those O-rings will be on, so that covers all your seals you need to do the job properly, so it's reliable 100%. What else was I going to say? I did think of some other things to say while I was pressing these together. Used about half a tube of RTV to do about 20 of these, so that's how much RTV you need. Not much, it's just a nice thin spear. It is hard to get it neat like that, but that's as good as it goes. Now a couple other tips on installation. I should get my facts right before I try and give you an installation tip. I think the torque setting on the nut is 235 Newton meters. It's been a while. I think it's 235. Too many cars, too many torque settings, as I always say. Check that, but I reckon it's 235. A quick Google is always worthwhile, because you'll come up with a few answers, and if you get a few and you get quite a few that are the same, probably going to be right. And I think you'll find it's 235. I'm fairly confident in that, otherwise I wouldn't even say it. I'm just trying to make it sound like I'm not confident to encourage you to check what I'm saying. Okay, so all the O-rings go on. What's this O-ring for? Well, this is where the actual bearing, so this is, I suppose, this is the confusing part. Some people, the bearing, I suppose, is, the bearing's inside, and some people think that bearing assembly is the hub. No, that's not the hub, that's the bearing assembly. Well, I'd rather call, this is kind of your hub, you know what I mean? So, and that's all pressed together now. This O-ring, when that face bolts up to the steering knuckle, this O-ring is what seals any water from coming in from the outside behind the rotor in past that seal to the back of the bearing. Okay, so there's water can't get in from that way if your dust cap's sealed. Water can't get in from this way if that is sealed and that's sealed. Water can't get in this way if that's sealed, and water can't get into the back if you've got a good seal at the back, which is why we replace it. Okay, can you see me there? You can't see me. I'm pointing at thing. I'm over here pointing at this one. You can't even see it. Terrible effort, Anthony. Here we go. We'll do that again. So you can't. Water All right, the dust caps around this side. Another reason I leave them on the bench that way, these have got an ABS sensor in it, and there's some rumours going around that if you leave bearings like this on a steel bench too long, they can lose their... Look, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'd rather take precautions. I'm not going to leave an expensive bearing sitting on a steel bench, so that would happen. So what I was saying earlier, there's like a coating here, and that seals really well with the dust cap. These, that's how they stay, and that's why I said replace that, and this is all nice and new as well. So that's a bonus, because once you pop the dust cap off, you know, maybe the dust cap sort of dug into that coating a little bit. I'm not saying it's single use, but obviously single use is better, isn't it? It's almost like a gasket, I think. You know, otherwise it wouldn't be there. So the water can't get into this side with that dust cap seal. It can't get in past this face that turns. I'll just spin it, put it up the other way, right? That spins like that. It can't get in past that seal if you've got a good quality clean face, as we've just set up with a quality seal, professionally installed, nice and square. We've got that extra bit of RTV there to make sure at that side. Here, any water that comes down behind the rotor, this is what this O-ring stops from coming in that way. But you've also got the possibility of it coming from behind where the drive shaft is, behind the steering knuckle. There's like a double seal, but it doesn't get through there either if your seals are good. Now, sometimes we've seen that seal, it's worn, and the rubber wears through, and the spring that puts the pressure on the seal actually sort of cuts through the rubber. So, look, guys, this is the way we do it. We've got a whole stack of them in stock at the moment, but don't expect that to stay that way. That's about all I've got for you. Hopefully you got some information out of that. I suppose the other thing we should mention before we go, I said 200,000 Ks already, didn't I? So, you know, 200, you know, maybe a bit over. Out of all the people that contact us going, oh, you know, I've got a bit of play in the wheel bearing, or I've got noise in my front wheel bearings, I think it's that, or they got a noise and we have a look at it and it ends up being that. Most commonly, not usually before 180,000 Ks, most commonly between 2 to 250, right? Shortly after 200,000 for vehicles that get used off-road, you know, a bit of dust, bit of water, bit of this, bit of that. So if you're one of those, you might want to do it as prevention. If you just go to school and back, shops and back, you don't need to do it as prevention. You can get it checked each service. If you notice a noise, spongy brakes or anything like that, get it checked straight away, because they can go bad really quickly, where there becomes a lot of play in the bearing and your disc rotor's on that, and that's why you've got spongy brakes. So it can be a cause of that symptom. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. I hope that's been helpful. If you can, give us a thumbs up if you got something out of that. If you haven't already, subscribe, turn that bell on, and I'll be looking in the comments for what you need. Now, of course, if you want to purchase these, like always, shoot me a text message, right? And I will, with your name, with your full name, as I've said, not just Dave, let's go Jack Daniels, or Jim Beam, whatever the case may be, whatever your name is, please. Vehicle, Prado, Hilux, whatever. These are the Prado ones. We keep them in stock. Hilux, we get them in and put them together as you order them. So there's a delay of, you know, maybe a week or two, depending on the availability of parts. It can happen within a few days, but the Hilux ones aren't sitting on the shelf yet, because we don't see a lot of call for those at this stage, probably because I'm more specialising in Prado. We get heaps of call for Hilux water pump, front engine, timing belt kit type stuff, and injector kits and stuff, but yeah, not so much on the wheel bearings, but we can certainly supply those. All right, guys, that's it. Bada bing, bada boom. Catch ya.